Oh, sorry I'm late, guys. Had a little bit of technical difficulties trying to get this camera set up the right way. Um, let's see here. Oh, sorry. More technical difficulties. Okay. All right. I think I've got it right now. Okay. Hello again. I um I was trying to set up my camera, my phone, so that you could see me and you could see what I'm doing and also be able to see when I am using the saw. And I kind of had to move it around a bit and it kept falling off and, you know, the usual mess. So I think I've got it all straightened out now, but I'm in a different orientation. So, you know, any little thing throws me off. So, uh, great. We've got a bunch of people already coming in, which is wonderful. I'm going to have to keep turning my head because I have to check and make sure I'm in the frame when I'm uh, working. And so I check on my laptop and it I'm moving around all the time. Okay. So yeah, we got a good crowd here already. That's awesome. I hope I hope you learned something. I have to say I haven't had this tool very long. I haven't done that much with it, but I'm willing to share, uh, you know, what I know about setting it up and what you can do with it so far. I'm sure there's a lot more things you can do with it than I know of, but for the moment, you know, you can see what I've been playing around with a little bit. So I will um, periodically stop and look at comments and try to answer any questions you might have. Like I said, I'm no expert with this thing. And oddly enough, when I was on Facebook last night, I happened to see a demo by Tanya Davidson. And, you know, she has the same machine and she did a little video on it. And I thought that was quite interesting. And I learned something I didn't know about the blades. And so, you know, I had heard a certain brand or a certain number blade was uh, better to use with our with the kind of work that we do with our metal. So the blade that comes with the machine is it's a I guess it's got more, no, it's got less teeth per inch. It's faster, but it doesn't have, I don't know. It doesn't, it's not as bendy. I don't know how to say it. The other blades are better suited for it. So I ordered the one that I knew to order. And then when after I watched Tanya's demo, she mentioned another blade, another size blade. So I ordered that, but you know, I won't be getting that for several days anyway. So it's better, I guess, to make bends. So I will try that. Yeah, it's more flexible. Thank you, Suni. Sometimes I don't find my words when I need them. Anyway, I know that there's several of you that are watching that have this MicroMark bandsaw. So if you at any time want to chime in with um, some tips or you know information that um, that we'll all find helpful, I encourage you to do so because, like I said, I'm just a beginner with this, and there's always a lot more stuff to find out. So, all right. So, all right. Yeah, I don't want to steer you wrong on it by giving you any wrong information. I don't think I will, but I just don't have all the experience behind me on it. So, yeah. All right. So, anyway, what I'm going to show you today is the machine itself, and I will cut some designs. They're real basic, nothing real fancy, and show you a little bit of what it can do. So I'm going to be moving the camera around, and I hope I don't drop it out of its holder like I so often do. Here on my work surface, I've got, let's see if I can bring this in a little better. Okay, I have, this is all 20 gauge copper, I believe, that I have here. And this is a bracelet. It's going to be a cuff bracelet, a narrow bracelet that I've already patterned on the rolling mill. And these are the tabs that you're left with when you cut with a pancake die. So I'm going to be showing you these easy cuts to remove that area, and also how you can make one without a pancake die, and then also cut these other tabs from these pancake dies that are on here. You can shear them off, but a lot of times metal shears will, if you cut too close, they'll kind of warp the metal a little bit, so that's not always the best way to go. But and you could also do it with a jeweler's saw. You can take it off, and that'll be nice and straight and accurate, or it should be anyway. But it takes a little bit more time to do it that way than on this bandsaw. So what I will do here, I'll start by showing you cutting off some of the tabs. And on this Christmas tree, the way the tab is on this pancake die, this is the tab right here that you want to cut off. So I'm just going to draw with my Sharpie where I want to make that cut. That's really kind of pathetic, but I want to cut that off. I guess it doesn't have to be quite as steep. I could actually go all the way to the top of that. Okay, so I'm going to just draw that out where I want to make my cut lines. And on this petal, there's actually a little curve here that I will make with my Sharpie. And hopefully I can get that curve cut nicely like that. And the same with this little shield I already drew on there. And then on the bracelet die, I want to mark these tabs as well. Now, if you're going to texture your metal, you should do that before you cut your pieces out, because this is what happens if you don't. And I'm just showing you so you know. This is the original size of the pancake die, the bracelet that'll come out. And after the tabs are cut, oh no, this is how this is after the tabs are cut. But this one, I forgot to texture it before I cut the piece out, and I wanted texture on it, so I went ahead and I put it through the rolling mill. This is what happens, is it stretches out, the metal stretches out in the rolling mill, so my bracelet now is a lot longer and also a little bit thinner since it's stretched out. So I would highly recommend doing your texturing on your plain metal before you cut it out, and that way that won't happen. Just a little tip there. What size cuff does this make? You know, Suni, I think it's a 6.5 inch. Let me see here. It's a 7 inch. This is a 7 inch cuff. Okay. But you can make your own. I mean, if you have something, if you can just draw it out yourself or have some sort of a template, you can just draw that out yourself, which I will do on one of these as well. I might as well do it now since we're here with the marker and such. So I've got one already cut out with the tabs off. And I'm just going to use my Sharpie and trace around the cuff. So I have my cut line right there. All right. Now the model that I bought, it's the standard model, but I went ahead and purchased the cooling system attachment. Is it necessary? You know, maybe not. The issues that I have with this machine are basically all, they all have to do with the cooling system. So, but on the other hand, if you're cutting a lot of metal, the metal gets hot as you're cutting. So I just thought as a safety feature or a comfort feature that the water cooling would be a nice thing to have. So, Jackie, you know, honestly, I don't know. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it on the textured side and see what happens. But you certainly could cut on the other side. I see I already had outlined this from before, so maybe originally I intended. But we'll cut it on the textured side just to see. It's not a super deep texture, so we'll see what happens. This is 18 gauge copper, by the way, for the cuff. I thought this was a better weight. But the rest of this copper that's on the table is 20 gauge. All right, so I guess we'll find out. Yeah, that would be, let's see. Yeah, that is one way to make a different size, to make it a little bit bigger. This is now, well, what did I measure before? I measured, that's 7 inches. So Suni, I made a mistake. I measured the wrong one. This is a 6.5. The original is a 6.5, the pancake die. Okay, so I stretched it out to a 7. Actually, it looks longer than that to me, more than a half an inch. Well, I guess it's just barely over 7 inches. So, yeah, you could vary the sizes, but then again, you know, you're altering the thickness of it. So, but if you start with 18 gauge, that's not bad. So, all right, let's see here. Jackie, I haven't tried 16 because I don't have any 16 gauge. So I can't answer that. But I don't see why it wouldn't work. I think it would work just as well. Just a little thicker material to cut through and bend. So, all right, so I'm going to move the camera. Hopefully I don't drop it while I'm trying to set it up to show you. And then we'll talk about some of the parts of the bandsaw itself. And let's see here. I don't know how this is going to work. I thought I had it all figured out. That's why I was late. Let me just take this out of the holder here. Bear with me a minute, guys. It's always something. All right. Okay. Let's see here. I think I'm going to have to move the machine itself. Let's see here. Going the wrong way. Let's see if that's any better. No, I'm going further away. There we go. All right. Now, there we go. Okay, so here's the machine. Here's the bandsaw. And my husband put it on one of these little rolling carts for me, which I think is awesome. And he's got it fixed down so it's not going to fall off. I don't know how he did it, but he did it somehow. I thought he put, oh, he's got those zip ties anchored. He's anchored the plywood on here so they're not going to come off. Okay, and this is the part that's got the water cooling system, okay? If you don't get that, you won't have that bottle on top, nor will you have these hoses. Let's see here. This is how it feeds. There's a little lever here that releases the water flow. You can adjust it a little bit. This I kind of find a pain in the ass because the lever is so small and it's right up against the base of the bottle, which it's hard to, it's very stiff and it's hard to operate that very smoothly. But it does work and you just have to have a little bit of patience with it. But if I were to review this with the company, I would bring that up because I find that to be annoying, and I know that they could make that easier to deal with. So the water feeds down in this tube, which feeds against the table here, and it hits the water, it hits the blade, so it cools the metal as you're working, and then it comes off the table and goes down into this drainage tray here, and it has a couple of hoses on either side where the water spills out into this tray. I have a problem with the tray as well because once you get that water flowing, the water accumulates relatively quickly and doesn't really go anywhere until it's pretty much full to go down. Oh, and there's the other hose is right here, and that feeds down into a bucket that we put down here at the bottom to collect the water. Okay, so theoretically it's a good idea, but I think the pan should have been about an inch high at least. That would have prevented water spillage. But the other issue with that is that the motor is attached right here, right above the pan. So if the pan were higher, that would be an issue too. So maybe that's the best they could come up with. I don't know. But those are the only faults that I find with this so far, and they all deal with the cooling system. But I'm still glad that I have it. So one thing though, when we were putting this together is the tubing was not quite the right diameter for this section right here. So we had to buy, we had to go to the hardware store and get just a little bit wider diameter tubing, and it works fine. But it was just, you know, why did that happen? I don't know. So I guess maybe I should bring those things up to the company. All right, so that's the machine. It's got the on and off switch here. It's got the speed control dial here, and it's very loud when you use it. So just keep that in mind, that it's going to be loud. I recommend using a face shield or safety glasses. I haven't really had any little copper bits flying out at me, but it's better to be safe than sorry. So, all right, so I'm going to check here. I'll show you a little bit of how you use it, and then I'll check for comments and we'll see where it goes. Anyway, you fill the water reservoir up here at the top, and you go through the water fairly quickly. I guess depending on how much metal you're cutting. All right, so and I put a couple of sponges here just for extra help to soak up some of that water. All right. So, you ready, guys? All right. So I'm going to start with just cutting off these tabs. And then I will cut this bracelet cuff. And then I'll show you something else after that. All right, so I'm not going to be talking while I'm doing this, so it's very loud, and just bear with me. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing, and that my hands won't be in the way. But I guess we'll tell. We'll see. Okay. wasn't very good. Well, I did a really crappy job on this. It just keeps getting worse. All right, well, this one was pretty bad. I pretty much mangled this one. Ugh. So, I don't know that the texture made any difference or not. I just did a crappy job. I guess I should have gone a little bit slower. That would probably be my first issue. Then you have to remember to turn off the water. Otherwise, it'll just keep coming out. And that's where I was having a lot of issue, was forgetting to shut off the water. All right, let's see here. Let's turn back around. See if this helps. All right. All right. All right, let me check on comments here. I just realized I didn't have my safety glasses on. I mean, I did have my safety glasses, not my magnifiers. That might have had something to do with me doing such a lousy job. Rose, don't be worried for my fingers. I'm worried for my fingers. No, I'm being cautious. It is a slower machine, or for lack of better term, slower tool than, say, like for a woodworking saw. Those go a lot faster. So you'd have to really be wailing in there with your hands to really hurt yourself, I think. You could nick yourself, though. I could see that as being a possibility. Let me check back here on comments. Sally, the bracelet gauge was 18 on that copper. No, Mary, they didn't feel like they were getting stuck. What was happening was the length of copper that I had going on the platform of the tool has ridges in it, and it was catching, the end of the metal was catching at the end of the table. So that I guess I wasn't really aware of that happening before, but that's what was happening. It was, the metal was kind of just catching in that groove on the table. So, but the blades themselves didn't feel like they were getting stuck in there. Marianne's asking, yeah, see, that's the thing where I'm thinking that the other blade, even though this is supposed to be good for this metal, I'm thinking the other blade that Tanya suggested makes those bends a little bit easier. So I'm going to test that out when I get it, and I will let you know what you think. Dawn saying you can cut gradual curves. If there's a tighter curve, change to a finer blade and or make relief cuts to the sharp change in direction so extra metal is removed and the turn can be completed. Well, that makes sense. Like I said, you know, I mean, I was honest right at the beginning. I haven't had that much time with this thing, so I think it's just like anything else. The more you use it, the better you get with it. You get more comfortable. You learn things as you go along. So, you know, I think there's a lot of improvement that I can make with this. It is, Tammy, it is a little bit scary at first, but it's really not that bad. You know, it's your fingers are far enough away when you're moving this stuff. I mean, you'd have to really not be paying attention to hurt yourself with this. I think if you're going slow and you're cautious of what you're doing, your fingers, you know, you're going to be okay with it. The water, Suni, the water does kind of block a little bit of where I'm at. You know, I could see that the water droplets were kind of like over the line. So, you know, that could be a slight factor, but I don't think it's anything that that bad. Yeah, it didn't, the metal didn't get stuck. What got stuck was that back plate. And when I stand up again to show you, I'll make a point of that where the metal was hanging up on the table itself. Yeah, it is very fast. I mean, in comparison to using a jeweler's saw, a lot quicker. So, uh, in Jazz, you're saying, yes, where somebody suggested using a piece of wood to help push. You know, maybe that would be okay on certain cuts, but if you're moving your piece around a lot, I think that would be, um, I don't know, you won't have the precision, I don't think, if you're pushing it with a block of wood as opposed to your fingers. So my fingers didn't get that close to the blade, really. The cut is, where is that bad boy? You know, I wouldn't say that it's super smooth, but it's not bad. It needs filing. It certainly needs filing, but this is embarrassing because it's so bad. But you would still have to file, to sand and file these edges. But it doesn't leave like a big burr. There's a little bit of a lip, but not, you know, not bad. This isn't really the right file for this, but you know, with a little bit of work you can clean that up. This won't be the right size according to the model for it, the original size. It'll be a little shorter cuff, but that'll all clean up. That will all clean up, and it won't be bad. It'll be usable, but I should have my metal files out here. Mary, you know, these are all things that I would have to try. Um, no, I'm not, Antoinette. I'm not losing that much metal. It's really not. It's really not taking away much. Not at all. It's pretty much like, let me see if I can tell. I think it's a 1/4 inch blade. I think it's a 1/4 inch blade. And it has 24 teeth per inch. Okay. Jennifer, it's organic, all right. Anytime stuff doesn't work out too well, it's organic. You can always say that. But anyway, this was a long piece to do without being very good at it, without much practice. But that was a whole lot easier than sawing by hand, because as you know, I'm not into jeweler saw very much. But I have been doing more lately with the jeweler saw, so I am getting a little bit better with it. But all this stuff takes practice. Okay, the other thing is I usually get my copper in these 6-inch squares. And a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you saw it on the Potter People group, I made these little trinket dishes. And I've really been enjoying making these little guys. But on the 6-inch square piece of copper that I have, you can only get 2 3-inch circles. So, I put one here and put one here, and then I've got this dead space in here. So having the saw is kind of a neat thing, because you can save a lot of your copper by being able to saw around. I've got this 3-inch template, and I'll just show you right here. I can draw my 2 3-inch, because that's what these took. These were 3-inch circles. And so you can see you can't get another 3-inch on either end. That would be great if you could, but you're not going to get 3 inches more than 2 on a 6-inch piece of copper. So, if you had metal shears, you could cut them out, but that's really tough on 20 gauge copper. You'll do a number on your hands. But this 6-inch copper happens to be 20 gauge, and I get it from the beadsmith, and that's the only way they sell it. And 20 gauge is the thickest that they carry, so I pretty much use this. I just ordered some 18 gauge from Potter USA, and I'll be working with that. But you can get these 6-inch squares in 20 gauge, 22, and 24, I think, and 26 from the beadsmith. All right, so anyway, so I don't want to waste this area of my copper, so I can still make something with these areas. So what I did initially was just take the saw and kind of do a little curvy cut like this. Although, after I was watching Tanya's video last night, she was cutting circles just right on the saw itself. And I'm sure that that's something that I can do eventually, but I don't feel like I want to show you cutting a circle on that right now, because I'm just going to ruin them. I know I will. So what I'll do is I'll take this up to the saw and just make this cut like this, and then I still have 2 good pieces of copper that's not wasted, and then I have 2 more circles that I can make more trinket dishes with. And after I make this cut and separate this copper, then I will put these through the rolling mill and get their texture before I cut them out with my pancake die. Yeah, Dawn, I need to actually look into a different distributor for copper. I used to get all my copper from Indian Jeweler Supply, but they've closed a few years ago, so I've just been buying these little squares and occasionally buying something from Potter or Rio. But I probably could look at some different places. Mary, I'll try to post a link for her video. I don't know if I can do that or not, but I'll try. But otherwise, for sure, it's on Jewelry Makers Guild, and I think it was a demo from maybe last September. I'll try to figure that out. I do have a handout. I wasn't going to initially because I thought, this is pretty much, I'm not showing how to make something, but I just put all the information that I'm talking about on there, like what I paid for it and shipping and the blade stuff and the information on the vinyl tubing as well. So that'll be something that you can look at after the demo is over. So let's move this back over here to the saw. All right. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't have my magnifiers on when I was cutting that. You'd think I would notice that, but I didn't. All right, turn my water back on. But this was what I was talking about, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but on the table, there's like a routed trough here, which I guess is for water, but that's where my metal was hitting up against when I was going with that long piece, and it looked like my metal was stuck, but it wasn't. It was because I was hung up on this back area. All right, so let's get my metal and turn this on. Okay, so I don't want to cut these too close to the edge because I'm going to be using the pancake die to cut them out. So if you get too close to the edge, sometimes the metal gets stuck in the pancake die. So that's actually pretty darn close. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But then I still have two decent usable pieces from that 6-inch piece of copper. And they're wet. And also, when I first turned on the water for this particular thing, the water was on just a little bit too much. So I cut that back a little bit. That's another thing that I guess you just are going to develop a feel for when you're doing this. And remember to shut your valve off so all the water doesn't pool up here. But I don't think it takes away. Let's see if I'm going to put this on the table and show you. Dry these off a bit. This also cuts mild steel. how thick, I'm not really certain, but I did see that's also an option. All right. If I had a cameraman, it would be so handy, but I don't. Oh, and when you get the blades, like the optional, I put the original blade back in this box, but this was the 82, well, it was 82207. That's the blade that I bought to replace the blade that came with the unit. But now, after seeing Tanya's demo, I ordered the 82205, which is a little bendier. All right, so in answer to the question, if a lot of metal is cut away or not, let's put this back together, kind of like a puzzle. And you can see that on the basic cut here, on the cut line, you can barely see. So not that much metal was taken away. Okay, in answer to one of the questions. Gina, you're funny. Yeah, too bad Dave can't help me. Sigh. That would be nice. All right, so that answers this question about the amount of metal that's taken away. It's virtually none. Well, it is some, but hardly any. All right. Speaking about Dave, Gina, a little while ago, when I was getting set up to do this, my husband was walking around down here. Oh, I can't get this thing straight. Sorry, guys. All right, my husband was walking around down here, and the room behind me where I work is our laundry room. And he came out, I was doing laundry earlier, and I saw him putzing around at my desk that's right, or not, my workbench that's right behind me where we are right now. And I saw him, I thought maybe he was looking for something. I turned around, and he's got my bras hanging there that I just washed, that were hanging up in the laundry room, and he put them up on the shelf thinking that maybe I wouldn't notice. It made me laugh so hard, you know, because he was going to prank me. And I said, well, you know, when I saw it, you know, I just about died. I said, but Al, you could have put one on and walked past, you know, just kind of casually stroll through the room. But that's why I'm half crazy, because he rubs off on me, which is a good thing. But yeah, it was pretty funny. So I'm sure you would have really enjoyed to see my mammoth bras hanging back there. All right. Any questions on this? I don't know what else I could tell you about it, about the machine. I could tell you a lot about Al, but he's not here to defend himself right now. Anyway, my overall take on this bandsaw is I like it. It is pricey, but you know, if you're going to use it a lot, if there's a lot of cutting of metal that you do, it's kind of a nice thing to have in addition to your other tools. Do you need the water cooler? I don't know. You know, I think that's just a personal choice. It's not that it was that much money. I think it was an extra $70, I think, for that. Um, to me, if I'm not going to burn my fingers, it's well worth $70. But it does come with a few annoyances, in my opinion. But I'm not sorry I got it. So I wish I would have realized the other blade was a little bit a better choice, for making those turns and bends. But I will try that out when I get it. And I gotta say, Al put this together for me. I don't think I would have liked to do that, but he works a lot with power tools and stuff, so it wasn't a bad project at all for him to do. But I've got him to fall back on to do this stuff, so if I didn't, I probably would be forced to do it on my own. And I probably could do it, but it's easier to just ask him to do it. But what else did I want to say? I was surprised when my buddy Rhonda and I bought it together. She and I, we share a lot of our tools, so that way we can buy more because we're only paying half for stuff. Excuse me. So we kind of enable each other a lot. Anyway, when I was totaling everything up, and it came time to check out, it was like, it was like the shipping and tax added like another $80 to the whole shebang, which I was like, what? First of all, I didn't realize there would be tax on it, but I guess I should realize that because more and more places are charging sales tax. It used to be if you bought stuff out of state, you didn't pay it, but now it seems like, Uncle Sam wants its money, so, more places are charging tax. So that's something you just have to do. And then it said the shipping was like, I don't know, I can't remember offhand, but it was like $25 or $26. But then there was an extra $16 charge because of the weight. It weighs 13 pounds. It doesn't weigh a lot. But, you can't argue with it. It's like if you want it, you just pay it. But I was kind of like, with $80, I could have bought something else. But that's kind of the way it is. So if you want it, you got to pay for it. So they were super quick in shipping. I think I got it like in 2 days, and I didn't ask for expedited shipping, so it was quick. And I just have to play with it more and get better at it. So let me check for questions or comments, and then if you have anything else, just let me know. Susan, you're saying this versus pancake dies? No, I don't think so. I would still want my pancake dies. So, yeah, I mean, they each have their uses, and I don't know, if you don't have those things and you start off with this saw, excuse me, maybe you could do that, but I like the convenience of the pancake dies myself. Excuse me just a minute. I gotta wet my whistle. All right, the base machine. Oh, here's another thing. If you sign up for their emails and text messages, I think you get 10% off. Don't hold me to it, but I think that's an option. But I didn't see that until after the deed was done. So, and personally, I don't want all the text messages and stuff. So you get inundated with all that stuff. The base price was $329.95. And then the cooling system was $65. The extra blade was $25. And all in all, it added up to $4.95 for what I got. So, but if you were to get this, I would suggest getting the other blade, which is marked in the handout, the number. But I also was surprised when I went to buy that other blade last night. You get reward points for the dollar amount that you spend there. So I had a $10 credit. So that helped buying the new blade. So that was good. There's good information on the website about using the tool. And there again, I mentioned looking at Tanya Davidson's demo on it too, for additional good information. So let's see. Is it possible to tilt the table so you can cut your own pancake dice? I don't know. I don't know if that table moves. I don't, I'm not sure if that's what you're asking me or not. But I don't know. I would be hesitant of trying to cut my own pancake dice, but I know people do it. I'll have to see if it tilts or not. Oh, thanks, Karen. Yeah, that cabinet was a pleasant surprise, and it works out really well. Got it for a song a long time ago, before they were so popular, I guess. Let's see here. Yeah, Dawn, if you're doing production, I definitely think it'd be worth it, for sure. And oh, my husband's back. Let's see. Oh, Deb, you make me laugh all the time. Yeah, I still like the fact that I've got the water, even though it's kind of a pain. Okay. All right, I think, yeah, I've never checked the copper at Peppy Tools. I'll have to check that out too. Debbie, you're asking, couldn't we cut first and then texture them? Anytime you texture, you're stretching the metal. So, you know, like when I'm going to do these circles, I will put this whole piece through the rolling mill and then use my pancake die so that my circle will still be 3 inches. If I put my circle in there after I've cut the 3-inch circle, it's going to be distorted a little bit. It'll be stretched out, maybe more, not really ovally, but not really round anymore. So it stretches it out. So your pattern work should be done before you cut your shapes, if that makes sense to you. Yeah, and Jackie, I don't know if I answered that or not, but yeah, you still have to sand or file, you know, these edges. They are rough, but they're not horrible, but they do need attention, but they're not bad. All right. Dawn says she's heard that copper is getting harder to get because of the pandemic. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Seems like a lot of things have been affected by the pandemic. So, all right. I hope that I took some of the mystery out of this tool. Like I said, I still need lots of practice with it, but it's got lots of potential in my opinion. So I will post the the handout that I have for you, and see if I can link to Tanya's video. I'm not sure because that's in a group, and a lot of times it's hard to it's like you can't share things, but I'll verify. But I'm almost positive it was on the Jewelry Makers Guild group page, and I want to say it was from around September, so it was worth watching. She cut some circles out of mild steel, and she did a great job. So I would say she's got some practice under her belt. But I got a new tool, and I wanted to share it with you guys and see if it's something that'll be helpful. So I am so happy that you watched. Next week, I'll show you what I've got planned here. Let me turn the camera down here. And hopefully you can see these. I'm going to do a few of these things. These little simple, they're pretty simple, little pendants and earrings. And we will solder these little pieces on. We'll roller print some of these designs and then make the little bales to hang them. And we'll go through the steps on that. So that's all I've got for today, guys. Okay, so I hope that if you do purchase one of these machines, one of these tools, you let me know what you think about it. Yeah, hope you don't get motion sickness. You know, like I said, it's maybe not for everybody. But Rhonda and I've been playing with it a little bit. We just need to work on it a little bit more and make some other things and get a little bit more comfortable using it. A lot of times when you're using something for the first few times, you're still a little nervous that you're going to hurt yourself, just like when you start playing with fire. But as soon as you jump in and do it, you kind of get over that fairly quickly, and then you can keep doing some cool stuff. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I always appreciate when you join in with me and add your little comments, and that we can have a little giggle now and then. I'm hoping that, well, I don't know. Who knows what my husband will do next, but he's always up to something. Got to watch out for the guy. All right, take care, you guys. See you on the group page. Bye-bye.